Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope you have a fantastic day so far. My name is Strompfel, I'm your coach for the Chelsealeo FC in this season of the GPC, and it is finals time. Yes, that's true, we have made it all the way to the finals, and now we only have one opponent left that stands in our way from our championship. And that opponent happens to be Cav and his London Lycanrocs, and Cav is a very solid player and has drafted a very solid team, which goes to show because he made it all the way to finals. We actually did not get to face off in the regular season because due to some scheduling issues, Cav actually took a forfeit for me, so that's very nice of him. But this means that we're going into this completely without any sort of information on what the opponent wanted to bring, which is a good thing, in my opinion, because I didn't really want a rematch in the finals. So this is very exciting. Cav is, as I said, a very, very good player, and he has definitely shown that by winning the PCBL. He has definitely placed himself in the finals there, and I know from past experience that Cav is a force to be reckoned with in the draft format, so this is not going to be an easy task, especially since his team consists of Garchomp, Tapcoco, Shamin, Ember, Porygon 2, Silvally, Tentacruel, Braviary, Sharpedo, Steelix, and Mega Beedrill. So a very, very good team. Very fast paced, very much Volt Switch, not that reliable when it comes to tanking hits, but it definitely can dish out a lot of damage looking at the team. Stuff like Mega Beedrill and Tapu Koko, really hard Pokemon to check. Garchomp can be very versatile. When it comes to setup, stealth rocks, it can definitely tank some hits. Does have that glaring weakness to ice, so that's something that I definitely need to look forward to. We do have the Ember Porygon, that can be like, Ember can be a wall breaker, Porygon can be bulky. It does have some other bulk options in Steelix definitely, and Tentacruel. Shaman as well can be pretty bulky, but other than that, his team is very, very offensive. And before I go any further with the ideas that me and the boys had going into the battle, I just want to shout them out real quickly. So, I decided to open up a little bit of a front office helping me out for this battle, because I was very nervous and I felt like I needed some input elsewhere. So, the front office consists of me, of course. We have Isaac and Oscar, links. I don't know if they have any links. If they have, I'll put them on the screen. We do have TangelaBoots, my man Troy, who actually started up his own YouTube channel again. I will definitely recommend you go and check that out. He's a very good guy, one of my best friends on the internet, and he is definitely someone to look up to in the internet, in the Pokemon community. So I highly recommend you go check him out. We do have Bill Stanich, of course, main man Billy Boy. Had to put him in. Of course, links are on the screen. And last but not least, we do have Aaron2420, analyst friend of mine, very good battler, very good friend of mine. I would definitely recommend go and check him out. He is currently doing the P4G D-League, which is very entertaining for me to watch. He actually has an AG Slash, which he is utilizing very well. So congrats to him for drafting a very broken Pokemon, and congrats to him for doing very well with them as well. But that's actually going to wrap up all the shoutouts. So these guys helped me out with the battle. I just want to take some time and shout them out because they definitely deserve it. So, going into the battle, we realized that we needed to come up with some sort of plan to shut down his Volturn core. And that was mainly because if he got too much momentum against my kind of bulkier team, that would be a huge problem, because he will just force me out, continue to force me out, and I wouldn't really be able to stop it, especially since Mega Beedrill is one of the few Pokemon that I really don't have a switch into. It outspeeds my entire draft. It can definitely put in a bunch of damage against my draft, maybe not be able to 2-hit KO a Pokemon, but the thing is, if you Poison Jab in the U-turn, you will definitely be able to 2-hit KO the next time you come in, which a Tapu Koko allows you to do. Garchomp, huge problem. Ember, well, can be a problem depending on the Pokemon I bring. Shaman checks my Zygarde 100%, which is very bad. I need to come up if I want to bring a setup Zygarde, that's pretty much neutered by the Shaman. Porygon 2, annoying as hell, of course, and then we do have the Steelix, who can actually be a semi-reliable way to check my Mega Diancie, who does have pretty good matchup versus him. But on the flip side, if you have such an offensive team as he has a very hard time walling Pokemon. If you can't wall anything, you're not going to be able to tank any damage, which means that I force you to take damage on your Pokemon that you actually want to Volturn with. 2, Stealth is going to be huge. If you look at his team, he only has one way of getting rid of hazards. Wait, 2 with the Defog Braviary, but this is actually played in Sun and Moon and not Ultra Sun and Moon, which means that Tapu Koko doesn't get defog, Silvally doesn't get defog, only Tentacruel is his main way of actually getting rid of hazards. So putting up hazards with stopping the Volturn core is going to be huge. So I need to bring either Diancie or my Cobalion, that's a given. One of those two has to come. Tornadoes is pretty good, but the thing with Tornadoes is that it actually is outsped by Tapu Koko and just gets forced out every single time it comes in. And I can't really do that much damage. I do have access to Sludge Wave, but other than that, Tapu Koko is actually going to be a big problem for my Tornadoes. And with them, we do have the Mega Beedrill, of course, outspeeding me as well, and doing around 75%-ish with the Poison Jab, and that's no good. So definitely a tough matchup for me, but I do feel like I have the tools to create some sort of team that can stop the Volturn. I kind of have to rely a little bit more on my bulk this time, and you're going to see that throughout the team that me and the boys built, that bulk is definitely something that is highlighted in this build, because I don't feel like I can out-damage this guy. I can out-bulk him, but I can't out-damage him, especially not with a threatening Volturn core. But that's my mindset, or well, that's me and the boys' mindset going into the team builder. So let's just go over to the team builder and actually see what we decided to bring. So kicking off the final squad this week is going to be my Reuniclus, and oh boy, has Project 46 been an absolute MVP throughout this playoffs. It has done so much work throughout the playoffs that I can't even explain it with words. I love this Pokemon, I'm so glad that I picked it up, and I'm expecting it to do massive work in this battle as well. I'm rocking a Assault Vest, physically defensive Reuniclus, and it's basically going to function as an all-around sponge. If I need to scout something, I'm going into Reuniclus. If I need to check the Tapu Koko, I'm going into Reuniclus. If I want to see what kind of Sharpedo it is, if it wants to be like special or physical, I'm going into Reuniclus. Even if it's the Dark Fire, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going into Reuniclus because I can scout. This is so bulky, I'm going to take so many hits. And you're going to see that I do have the Regenerator. That's going to be a common theme on this team. Me and the boys thought that one of the best ways to shut down a Volturn team is to utilize the Regenerator core, because, you know, he can't really put that much damage on me if I can just switch out and play accordingly and regen all my health back if I have Stealth Dogs up. So that's going to be a common theme. Regen Pokemon is awesome, let me tell you, and Reuniclus is one of the better versions. But I'm basically very physically defensive. That's in case the Tapu Koko wants to be more physically offensive. I can see that because, you know, Braybird hits my Amoonguss harder than just a HP Ice. So Reuniclus needs to scout the Tapu Koko set for sure. He can definitely switch in on the Garchomp once or twice because of my physical bulk. Mega Beedrill, not really enjoying that to be honest, but Shaymin, I'm switching into that, Porygon switching into that, Silvally switching into that, Tentacle switching into that. I'm basically switching into everything, and I do carry the knockoff on this set because I do think that Porygon will be the switch in to my Reuniclus. Steelix can also be that, but knocking off a resisting bear from Steelix will be totally fine. He doesn't have the best Psychic resist on his team, so me clicking Psychic and in the late game can definitely be something that's happening, especially if I knock off the Porygon's Eviolite. So Reuniclus, definitely a MVP, and I feel like it's going to put in so much work this week as well. You know, I have talked about getting up Stealth Dogs this entire video, but this is actually the Pokemon that's gonna get them up for me. Introducing my very complexly invested Cobalion with the Stealth Dogs Close Combat Zen Headbutt and Hidden Power Ice, holding the Sugar Berry to help me get up rocks, or maybe get a 2-hit KO on the Garchomp with an Hidden Power Ice. This is basically gonna beat his only hazard support in the Tentacle, 1v1 with the Zen Headbutt, which means that I can get my rocks up and keep them up, which is gonna be super clutch for his, basically his entire team. But mainly for the Volturn core of Tapu Koko Mega Beedrill. It's going to hinder Mega Beedrill a lot from just switching in and out. Sugar Berry, of course, allows me to take ground hits from like Garchomp and Mega Beedrill, of course. The Drill Run is really what I am referring to. You know, the Shaymin can also pack a punch in that Earth Power, which means that Sugar Berry can be valuable for that too, in case I want to weaken it with a close combat. But overall, Cobalion's job is to get up those Stealth Rocks and offensively check the Sharpedo and the Porygon. The next Pokemon I'm bringing is going to be the second user of the ability Regenerator. Is going to be my Amoonguss, and Amoonguss is here as an all-around good sponge. This Pokemon can definitely check stuff like Garchomp and Tapu Koko, also can switch into Shaymin pretty comfortably. All around a Pokemon that I want to switch in case I don't feel too comfortable going into Reuniclus, or I feel like my Cobalion is kind of low or something. I do have the Toxic to chip down my opponent's team, with especially the Porygon and stuff like Silvally. I can also see myself toxing the Ember on the switch, vision and stuff like that. So this Pokemon is an all-around good mon, and I do feel like he will struggle a lot to take this down. HP Fire is of course for the Steelix. I don't want to allow that to get a free switch in. Mainly for the Steelix, I can't remember. Oh yeah, for the Mega Beedrill as well, so Mega Beedrill just can't come in over and over. I thought about having HP Ice to prevent setup from the Garchomp, but I felt like Hidden Power Fire was much more reliable in just all around. So this Pokemon definitely going to be hard for him to take down, which is going to be a common theme on my team. But we're now 3 Pokemon in and we still can't check the Mega Beedrill too comfortably, so we're definitely gonna bring this weird Zygarde set with the Rocky Helmet. This is actually a set I wanted to bring against him first time. Luckily we didn't play, otherwise I would have shown this off. But you know, this is very good for me and very good for my team. Mega Beedrill is one of the things that actually can deal with the rear initials quite well, so chipping it down with the Rocky Helmet is definitely very good. Zygarde is not that good of a Pokemon in this matchup, just because Shaman just shuts it down completely, but the fact that I actually can switch in on Mega Beedrill, take not too much damage from the U-turn, and actually chip him down with the Rocky Helmet is going to be super clutch. Also, the extreme speed is very important in the matchup in case one of his frailer Pokemon gets into a very low amount of health, where I can pick them up with extreme speed and actually deny a potential sweep from stuff like Sharpedo, Mega Beedrill, or the Tapu Koko. So extreme speed, very valuable in my opinion. I do have the Toxic and the Dragon Tail in 1,000 waves. I don't really see myself using them too much. Toxic maybe, in case I wanted to Toxic the Shaman. Of course, it does have the natural cure, but it will make it switch out at some point. Dragon Tails, of course, if I want to prevent something from setting up. Stuff like the Garchomp if I can't break this up with 1,000 waves, which is my last move. I could have run stuff like Rest, but if I got 1,000 waves would be valuable in case he wants to switch into his Steelix, realizing that I will not have a ground move for it otherwise. So Zygarde is definitely going to be here as a wall to the Mega Beedrill. Just switch in, stand in its way, and just allow it to kill itself slowly at a time. Next up we got ourselves the third member with the Regenerator ability, being my Tornadus, but this time Tornadus is not going to be the bulky variant I brought so much this season. It's going to be more of an offensive variant with a Choice Scarf. I wanted a Choice Scarf because I do know I want to outspeed stuff like Choice Scarf, Garchomp, such like Tapu Koko, and stuff like Mega Beedrill. So having the Choice Scarf there is going to be very good for revenge killing those huge threats. I do have the Heat Wave, Hurricane, Air Slash, and the Sludge Wave. Heat Wave and the Sludge Waves are the only coverage I really need. I can actually pick up the 1-hit KO on a Tapu Koko of the Stealth Dogs. I do have the Hurricane and the Air Slash. Hurricane is of course very powerful, but it misses about 9 times out of 10, so having the Air Slash as a backup is very good. Tornadus is very powerful. I do feel I can switch into some Pokemon, such as the Shaman very carefully, but other than that, Tornadus is going to be my revenge killer, my late game sweeper, and I do feel it's going to be a very useful Pokemon this week. And now you might be sitting there thinking that I only brought bulk, I only brought stall, and I do not have an offensive win con at all. But that is both right and wrong. Right in the way that I haven't revealed it yet, wrong in the way that I do actually want to bring one. And Mega Diancie is going to be my win con. I'm bringing Rock Polish this time as well. Didn't really work out against Isaac, mainly because Reuniclus actually stole the show. But Diancie as a Rock Polish user in this game is going to be very good. The only thing I really need to do is chip down the Porygon a bit, get on my Rock Polish, which I should be able to do in theory, and then just go ham with the Diamond Storm, Earth Power, and Moonblast. This Diancie is going to be very hard for him to deal with. I do so much damage with the Moonblast. I do have the Diamond Storm for the Tentacruel mainly, because you know that hits it harder because it does have a very good special defense stat. Even though I am attack reducing nature, it still does a fuck ton. So, you know, Mega Diancie is going to be super good. I can Rock Polish up on a bunch of his threats. Not like Garchomp, that's one of the few that I cannot do against, but Tapu Koko, who has only blown off a Z move, for example, I can definitely do it versus that. Porygon, Emboar, stuff like Silvally, Tentacruel for sure, Steelix, not the Steelix, but the Mega Beedrill, I can definitely do it versus that too. So, that's actually going to be my team for the finals versus Cav and his London Lycanrocs. I am definitely looking forward to this. I do feel like the team that me and the boys built is going to show up as a very big threat versus him. Of course, I do have a very bulky team. I do kind of lean towards bulk when it is an important game. But, you know, that's going to be it. That's going to be the last team builder for the GPC. Feels kind of sad to say that, but we do still have one more battle to win, so let's just jump right into the battle. Okay, so if you haven't already noticed, I am very tired when I recorded this, so I am sorry for my lack of energy in this battle, but I really wanted to get this out in time. It's been so long since we actually finished the GPC, so I felt like it was important for me to do this even though I felt kind of tired. But looking at my opponent's side of the field, we do see the Garchomp, Mega Beedrill, Tapu Koko, Shaymin, that's a not an Arceus, that's a Silvally, and we do also have the Porygon too. So pretty much no surprises. The mons that actually had 100% that I thought he would bring was the Garchomp, Mega Beedrill, Tapu Koko, Shaymin, and Porygon, which I all got correct. And then the last Pokemon I thought was going to be a Steelix, but he decided to opt for the Silvally. That is fine by me. Since he didn't bring the Steelix, that means that his only Stealth Rocker on the team is the Garchomp. And if Garchomp is a Stealth Rocking bulky set, that is totally fine by me. That's a huge threat that I don't have to deal with in this battle. So I'm totally fine by that. We do see the Mega Beedrill, Tapu Koko core. Of course, I do need to get up rocks. We don't see the Tentacruel, so rocks are going to be there to stay. So getting my rocks up on something like the Porygon, or potentially the Garchomp eating on my Sugar Berry, or the Silvally can be very useful. But other than that, I have explained my thought process, what I want to do versus certain types of Pokemon in my team builder quite well. So without further ado, let's get the finals on the way. Last battle of the GPC Season 3. Will the Chelsealeos be able to claim this championship as his own and be the Season 3 champions? There's only one way to find that out, and that is to play the little play button right now. So, since he has the very threatening core of the Tapu Koko and the Mega Beedrill, I felt like leading off with my Zygarde would be pretty safe. Because if he wants to lead off with Beedrill, that is guaranteed Rocky Helmet damage straight away. I don't feel like he would actually hard switch out on a Zygarde, since a Scarf Zygarde isn't really an option. Well, it is an option, but you know, I don't see myself bringing it, especially since he has a Shaymin. So, if he leads off with the Tapu Koko, I can scout the Tapu Koko set straight away and kind of figure out if it is a threat or not. So, he actually does lead off with the Tapu Koko, which is totally fine by me. Of course, I don't want to stay in. This is one of my main ways to chip down the Mega Beedrill, and getting a HP Ice on me would be very foolish of me, even though I might be able to take it out with 1,000 waves after that. So I'm just going to go straight into my Reuniclus to scout what kind of set this is. And he actually blows out the Z-move turn 1, so that is very lucky that I actually switched out into my Reuniclus. The Zygarde would have dropped, and that could have been so hard to recover from, especially since the Beedrill would have been such a pain. But you can see Reuniclus takes absolutely nothing from that. Like, we're talking very little damage. 40% from a Z-move is like nothing. So Reuniclus is sitting in a quite good position. I want to scout out if he has something like the U-turn or something. If he has the U-turn, he'd probably go for it right there, since, you know, I can get some Rocky Helmet chip on this Pokemon. But he actually reveals a Taunt, so I'm kind of surprised that he would bring Taunt. Taunt and Dazzling Gleam. Then I'm still thinking he has the Brave Bird for the Amoonguss, and then an Electric Coverage, which means that it doesn't have Volt Switch, doesn't have stuff like the HP Ice. Can't really say it for a fact, but Taunt was definitely something that I did not expect. It makes sense though, because, you know, you want to shut down a Coal Mining Reuniclus. But other than that, I'm just going to go right back into my Reuniclus if he wants to go for another Dazzling Gleam. He opts just to U-turn out this time, so we have revealed 3 moves on this Tapu Koko, 4th one probably being an Electric Stab. So he goes into the Mega Beedrill. I can just switch straight into my Zygarde. This is one of the opportunities I can start getting some chip damage off on this Pokemon. He goes straight for the Drill Run, and that is very good for me. Drill Run was, of course, expecting the Cobalion to come in. But as I've said, this is kind of my Mega Beedrill check, so I'm just going to go straight into it. He takes Rocky Helmet damage, realizes that I can't start U-turning on my Pokemon, which is very good. I'm just going to fire off a Toxic. I catch this Shaymin, which means that he does have to switch out sooner or later. Since Shaymin is in, I can just switch into my Reuniclus. Takes absolutely nothing. Even with the special defense drop, I'm not too worried about this Pokemon. But I do see the leftovers, which means that this is a bulky Shaymin, so I can actually go right into my Cobalion, kind of thinking that he would go for a Leech Seed right here. But he actually goes for the Seed Flare, gets a Spit After Drop, that's fine. I'm still surviving a -2 Earth Power from the Shaymin, so I can just take this as an opportunity to get up my rocks, which will be here to stay. He goes into his Tapu Koko, so he of course will try to threaten me out right now, which he of course will be able to do. I'm not going to try and stay in like a foolish kid, so I'm just going to go into my Amoonguss. He makes a good play and goes for the U-turn, switching in his Porygon, which is totally fine by me. This is actually one of the Pokemon that I can get a Toxic up on the Porygon, and that's going to help me weaken this Porygon so much. And you can see there for a split second before the Porygon actually got toxic that he will trace by Regenerator, which is a very common theme throughout this battle, that Porygon will be able to switch in and switch out, which is a super annoyance and makes this battle about 20 turns longer than it needed to be. But of course, very good bring on Cap's part. I'm not going to try and shoot it down for anything. Of course, I'm bringing Regen, so why wouldn't he bring Trace Regen? That now it's pretty much fair game, in my opinion. So this Porygon is going to be a nuisance for me to deal with, especially since 3 of my Pokemon, half my team, has an ability that Porygon will be able to recover on. So yeah, after I've talked to the Porygon, I'm just going to start firing off some hits, because, you know... No, wait. I'm going to start firing off some hits. I thought it was later on in the battle, but I'm just going to fire off hits. Of course, I get paralyzed, because, you know, it's paralyzation. That's what it does. I'm just going to fire off another Giga Drain. Of course, I'm not going to do that. It was a while since I battled this. And I'm just going to pull a switch out in my Cobalion, which he reads pretty much perfectly and goes for the Thunder Wave. But this is not the end of the world for me. Having Cobalion paralyzed is not really that big of a deal. Cobalion's job was to get up Stealth Rocks, and I can still tank a hit from stuff like Garchomp and the Mega Beedrill and stuff like that, lure them in, allow them to go for a ground type move, take it, and then retaliate back with a bunch of damage. So having Cobalion paralyzed, not the end of the world. Good play on Cap's part though. I definitely acknowledged that. That was a really good read. He of course is going to switch out right now. He's going to get some HP back because of my regen. I'm just going to fire off a close combat, revealing that this is a very physically defensive Shaymin, which is no surprise to anybody. This is basically here to check my Zygarde. Luckily for me, Zygarde is not my win con. So I'm just going to switch out into my Tornadus, realizing that this will either go for the Leech Seed or for the Synthesis, because having Shaymin that low will potentially leave you open for a setup Zygarde. Even though I'm not, he doesn't know that for a fact. Just now Tornadus is actually in, and I can just click a flying type move. He actually goes straight into Steel Valley Electric. So this was his response to my Tornadus, which is a good bring for sure. I do get the Confusion, which is lucky for me. I can just switch right into my Amoonguss and just take pretty much any attack that this wants to go for. He actually goes for the Parting Shot, so he gets a switch out into the Porygon, tracing my Regenerator again. Stupid duck, man, stupid duck. This is going to take a while for me to break through. I'm just going to go into my Cobalion. This is pretty much a safe switch in my opinion. Ice Beam does absolutely nothing, and I could just go for a close combat again. Because, you know, this Porygon is not going to want to stay in. I actually do pull a double switch into my Amoonguss right here, predicting the Shaymin to come in, which is, you know, a pretty safe player for his part. So I can just start putting on some pressure and make him switch around. He goes for the Hidden Power Fire, I do believe, which is an interesting play because, you know, I do go straight for the Sludge Bomb. No real reason to go for anything else. And this Shaymin is looking quite low. He actually goes for it again, which surprised me a bit. Of course, I do go for the Sludge Bomb. I don't get Poison, which is unfortunate. If I did, that Shaymin might have been in KO range of Stealth Rocks, which is, you know, it's unfortunate, but I can't really complain that I didn't get Poisons with Sludge Bomb. So I'm going to get paralyzed here. Unfortunate for my little swamp buddy here, but what are you going to do? He goes into the Porygon 2, traces my Regenerator again. Kind of slow battles here and there, just me pivoting in back and forth, using my Regenerator, he using my Regenerator against me and stuff like that. He goes to the Ice Beam, that is totally fine. I can eat that up, I get paralyzed again. This paralyzation is just being so annoying towards me, but you know, that's what it's there for. Just gonna switch into my Cobalion. Cobalion is basically a hard check to this Porygon 2. And at this point I realized that I will not be able to break through the Porygon with my Cobalion plus Amoonguss core. The only thing that I really can break down the Porygon with is actually my Reuniclus. But the thing is, I don't really want to switch in my Reuniclus on the Porygon because it does have the Ice Beam and the Tri-Attack, and one of the few ways that I think I can lose this battle 100% is if my Reuniclus gets frozen. And I'm just going to say that right now, if my Reuniclus ends up getting frozen, I'll just lose the battle straight away, because Reuniclus is super important, and I really need to be healthy, because look at his team, he doesn't have a Psychic Resist, Reuniclus is going to be super good, so I need to find an opportunity where I can predict the Porygon for go for the Thunder Wave, and switch into my Reuniclus to try and get him paralyzed instead of getting frozen. That's going to be a very, like, long goal for me. So I'm just going to go into my Reuniclus right now, predicting him to go into the Shaymin, which works out perfectly. This means that I can definitely go for the knocking off the Shaymin, or knocking off the Porygon is my goal. I go for the knockoff right here. Unfortunately didn't switch out on the Porygon, which would have been better, but you know, knocking off the Shaymin is going to be good too, because him taking rocks is definitely important. So he goes into the Porygon right now as I just fire off a Psychic doing a little bit of ship damage. I actually pull a switch out into my Tornadus, forgot about that. And I think this is the time where I actually, I double out into my Reuniclus, predicting the Thunder Wave, which works out perfectly. So here I basically realize that Reuniclus is going to be here for the entire game. He's never going to be able to kill this thing. He's basically gunzo when Reuniclus comes in, because Reuniclus will be able to click Psychic. Porygon is a soft check, but I do have that thing poisoned, and I do also have the knockoff on this Reuniclus. So Reuniclus is going to be a very big nuisance for him. I need to keep this healthy. I'm just going to go and fire off my Psychic right now. As you can see, the Porygon is actually staying in on my Psychic, which is interesting. It only does 18%, but that will be around 30-ish when I knock off the Eviolite, which I will attempt to do in just a second right here. He actually goes into the Shaman. Good play on his part. I actually go for the Psychic and again, thinking that he will switch out, not wanting to lose his Eviolite. Then I'm going to go into my Amoonguss, because, you know, Amoonguss is a very good Shaman switching. I can stay in with my Reuniclus, but I'm not going to want to get PP stole out of my Psychics. That would be rather unfortunate, and I don't want to reveal that I am HP Ice straight away. So I'm just going to go for my Sludge Bomb onto the Porygon 2. Porygon 2 is just an annoyance at this point. I can't really break it too well. Now that I am paralyzed with Reuniclus, though, that is a perfectly safe switching. Ice Beam does 12. Wow, I just got something in my throat. But Ice Beam does absolutely nothing. He goes into his Garchomp on my Psychic, which means that this is actually in range of the HP Ice. This is very good for me, because he goes for the Earthquake, thinking that I can't take him out, and I just bop him with the HP Ice. So, that's the first blood thrown, that's the first blood drawn for me. That's the correct sentence for my Reuniclus, but that unfortunately leaves my Reuniclus very low, which means that I can't switch out into my Amoonguss, realizing that I can't touch this either, so I'm just sitting in a very commanding position at this point. He can't really break my team, which is the good part about my region Pokemon, and since he didn't bring Stealth Dogs, this is just kind of a taking time bomb for him, as long as I can just switch in back and forth between regen Amoonguss and regen Reuniclus and just put on pressure with both of them. Reuniclus is actually doing a lot of damage with my Psychics, and especially since I get a knockoff right here, knockoff is going to help me out with this Porygon in the long term. So now my Psychics is actually starting to do some damage, as you're going to see in just a minute. Reuniclus is just not getting paralyzed. Amoonguss was paralyzed all the time, but Reuniclus is just pulling its weight. Wow, I'm just saying, Reuniclus is the best Pokemon to have in playoffs for real. This Pokemon is so good. I'm actually going to predict him to go into his Shaman right now, which means that I pull a switch out into my Tornadus. I'm just going to go for the Sludge Wave as he goes for the Leaf Seed, and he misses. And this may seem like a big deal, but the only real thing that this did for him is being able to switch out and come in on Stealth Dogs again. This would have been super low. I think he would have been at around 5% switching on rocks again, so I don't really feel like this Shaman would have been such a big deal for me. Didn't really do any sort of damage. I just get a 2-hit KO with the Sludge Wave, but you will see that the hacks evens out later on. And at this point you can see that Porygon is knocked off and toxic, so Diancie is just looking so good to sweep later on, dear god. I'm just going to switch out into my Cobalion, and when I say try to set up with Diancie, I'm actually going to attempt that right now. And this is basically going to be game, in case this goes as I had planned. The only thing that really can mess me up right now is the paralyzation, because, you know, with the added bulk that I have on my Diancie, I will be able to take even a Specs Thunderbolt from Tapu Koko and just Rock Polish up and pretty much win the game from here. Everything is in range. So I'm just going to Mega Evolve. Saving Light's going to clean up for me. Bring me my championship. Nope, he gets a crit. So Diancie just goes straight down, which is very unfortunate. I could have had the game right there. But, you know, I'm now sitting in pretty much the same position as last time. I'm just going to have to play this out a little bit more, but I'm just going to fire off a Sludge Wave. There's 26 to the Porygon. Pretty good damage, actually. Fortunately, it traces the regen from my Tornadus as well, so, you know, what are you going to do? I'm just going to go into my Reuniclus. Reuniclus is basically a wall to this Porygon. I can just start clicking Psychics and pretty much claim a kill at this point. He doesn't have a switch in at all. The Porygon is not going to stay in. Okay, I just went for the Focus Blast. Holy shit, that was a turnaround. I just apparently felt like I was tired of this Porygon, so I just Focus Blasted that into the next dimension. Of course, the crit didn't matter if Psychic does 36. Focus Blast easily does 70%. So he's going to go into his Mega Beedrill. That gives me a switch out into Zygarde. This Mega Beedrill only has one more Stealth Dog switch in, and then it's going to be dead. So he goes into his Tapu Koko. I can just easily go into my Amoonguss without a problem to wall pretty much this I can pretty much wall this Tapu Koko to hell and back. He's not going to be able to do anything to me. I'm just going to fire off a Sludge Bomb right now on the incoming Silvally. Actually go for the Toxic on the Silvally, I forgot about that. Thought I went for the Sludge Bomb, my bad. Silvally is pretty much going to be dead, and it's looking so good for the Chelsealeos right now to claim its championship. Among Us is just going to stay in and click in Giga Drain. It's not really going to matter at this point, in my opinion at least, because, you know, Silvally is not going to be able to do anything to my Among Us. Among Us is basically only here for the, whatchamacallit, the Tapu Koko, and Tapu Koko is kind of low at this point too. The only thing I need to do now is get in my Tornadus and start clicking moves, because, you know, he only has the Volturn Core. Both of them are revealed not to be Scarf, of course. Mega Beetle does have the Mega Stone, so might as well just sack off this Among Us. I want to get the last kills with my boy Skywards, one of the best Pokemon that is in this entire season of the GPC. Being able to pick up pretty much every single kill for me and only dying, I think, 3 times during the entire league. So yeah, Among Us, I'm just going to sack it off at this point. I want to get the last kills with my Tornadus so bad. Could have gone for my Reuniclus and try and get those kills, but I decided let's just have Tornadus clean up the last guy. So I'm just going to fire off the Air Slash, take out the Tapu Koko, in comes the Mega Beedrill, and Mega Beedrill is going to drop to this Choice Scarfed Air Slash, and that is going to be the season for the Chelsealeo FC. I'm barely messed up my name there the last time I need to say that, but Chelsealeo FC will take home the crown for the GPC Season 3, and oh my god am I happy with this victory. I want to shout out again my boys in the front office, being TangelaBoots, Aaron 2 for 20, Bell Standish, Isaac and Oscar for helping me build this team. This was a super good battle. GG to Cav, of course. You played this really well. You had a fantastic season, and I really want to wish you luck in GPC Season 4, where I hope that we get to battle, even though I'm not going to be in it. But you know, I'm really looking forward to battling Cav again. I feel like I had a team matchup. He didn't really have anything for Reuniclus. Reuniclus definitely pulling his worth again. I'm so glad with my regen Pokemon that they did so much work, and I feel like I will definitely miss this team that I have used. The core between Zygarde, Meganiancy and Tornadus is one of the favorite cores that I've ever used in draft play. Reuniclus was amazing, Cavalion was amazing, Among Us and Vaporeon was amazing. Jolteon is a bad Pokemon for this team. Wow, did it do nothing. Really liked Electabuzz, and yeah, with that all being said, I want to thank you so much for coming on and tuning in to every single battle. Maybe not every single battle, but I want to thank you so much for all of you who actually stuck around with me from the beginning to the end in the GPC. Chelsealeos have taken their crown, and we are looking forward to play again in the Owl and try and get another championship there. But with that all being said, my name is Strompfel. I'm the coach for the Chelsealeo FC. This has been the finals battle, and I'll see all of you next time. Goodbye.